Mont Saint-Michel is the second most visited place in France after Paris. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site and a major tourist destination, attracting over 3 million visitors annually. Today, Alan and I booked a bus to bring us there and back so we could see what the fuss was about. Mont Saint-Michel is located on an island just off the coast of Normandy in northern France. We got up early, took the subway to the Eiffel Tower, and enjoyed a 4-hour bus ride due west to Mont Saint-Michel. The countryside is very pretty. We stopped halfway at a gas station for a break, where I picked up 2 of these pastries with chocolate in them. Not a bad breakfast if I do say so myself. Then, it was time to keep on rolling, baby. Once off the bus, Alan and I found our way to the shuttle bus and took that as far as it would go. My first view of the Mont was dope, and it only got better as we got closer to the entrance. Many companies provide guided walks across the bay of Mont Saint-Michel during low tide. Walks are done barefoot and in shorts due to the muddy ground and potentially knee-high water. There are round-trip walks, but most walks are typically one-way, starting at a beach and ending after reaching the mount. Foot washing stations are provided at the mount.
That's crazy if they do.
The entrance area has a bunch of shops and restaurants, as well as a post office. We figured we would save all of that for the end of the day. It was important to beat the crowds up to the Abbey, which was pretty easy to do given that I go hiking like it's my second job. It also appeared that there were several ways to get to the Abbey, and it wasn't clear which way was the fastest or the best. I don't know what route we took, but it had us going in every direction, but it also gave us a lot of good views. The total elevation gain is a mere 350 feet. While you watch this footage of me working my way up to the Abbey, I wanted to mention some fun facts I learned about this area. Back in 1465, during the days of Louis XI, the king turned parts of the Abbey into a torture chamber. He used to put some of his enemies in hanging cages where they couldn't stand or sit, and where every movement they made caused the cage they were in to roll over and over. The rooms that were used for this purpose were cold and dark. At that time, life expectancy as a prisoner was only 45 days. After the French Revolution ended in 1799, the monks had to abandon the abbey, which was to become a state prison. From then until 1863, 14,000 prisoners passed through this Bastille of the Seas, where tide and quicksand made escape impossible. There's no room for a cemetery at Mont Saint-Michel. Only the abbots were buried in the cemetery of the village, and until the 15th century, in the church abbey. Monks, on the other hand, were simply dumped into this hole, and quicklime was poured over the body to dry out the flesh and tissue as quickly as possible. The monk's body did not matter anymore, and even before, the clergy had set the standard that the body is simply an envelope for the soul. A monk's soul would go straight to heaven, escorted by Archangel Michael. These letters and numbers on the stones that make up the floor tell the architects which worker carried the rock or put the rock in its place. That way, they knew how much to pay each worker.
This. And like, wow, look at that park.
Seagulls here are not afraid of people. On the way up, I saw one seagull swoop down and steal this woman's baguette as she was eating it. A second seagull sounded like it was laughing at her. The stones used to build this abbey come mainly from the islands of Chaucy, out at sea 30 kilometers to the northwest. The stones were brought by boat using the tidal waves, as the rising tide simply would bring in the boats. A mass was happening when we entered the abbey. This rectangular gallery with small windows served as a covered garden, allowing the clergy to grow medicinal herbs and also to get some exercise during the mild and warm days. It was a place of prayer and meditation. A double row of small columns, slightly out of line, creates ever-changing views. I was not able to find any information about who might be buried here, if anyone at all. The refectory was the dining hall of the monks. The monks were always eating in silence and listening to one of them reading the Bible out loud. The idea behind these long and narrow windows is to provide enough light so that the monks could see what they were eating and to stay humble. This room was a large room used by the important members of society, the barons, dukes, and all the nobility when they were coming up to the Mont on pilgrimage in the 13th century. On the way to the next stop, I ran into this guy dressed up as a knight king warrior type. They were filming for a movie called The Stolen Child in the next room. Tourists could pass through, but obviously had to be quiet and not use flash photography. The movie should be out in theaters in 2026. This wheel was built in 1820 to bring items up for the prisoners of the Mont. At the time, 1 or 2 prisoners would get in this giant kind of hamster wheel and bring up their food, water, and whatever else. This was the Chapel of the Dead. It was in this chapel that the monks would mourn their friends and colleagues who passed away. The scriptorium was a room used by the monks to produce their books. It took a year to make 1 copy of the Bible until the printing press was invented. After making my way through the Abbey, there wasn't much else to do except take more photos and videos as I worked my way to the street with all of the shops on it. I don't know who invented the baguette, but it is by far the best bread-based product I've ever had. I have to wonder why we settle for the garbage we have back home in the States when baguettes are vastly superior in every way. I could live on this stuff. I found a lot of candy shops, restaurants, and grab-and-go type stores. I'm led to believe that there's a place around here that charges at least 40 euros for their world-famous omelette. I didn't try hard to find it, and unless it was served with a baguette, I didn't really have any interest in waiting forever to get one. Our time at the Mont was coming to an end. Before getting back on the tour bus, we took some time to snap some more pictures and videos from the sand flats. Time to go back to Paris. Our tour bus dropped us off at the Eiffel Tower at 9:15 at night. We heard that they light up the Eiffel Tower once it gets dark, so we just kind of wandered around and snapped a ton of pics. Because hey, we're tourists. We eventually found this little outdoor market area next to the tower while waiting for the top of the hour to hit.
Oh my god. Do it again.
Bah, essaye de négocier comme ça avec lui. Si tu lui dis que tu peux regarder.
After seeing the light show, we had to get dinner, but the market closed at 10. Bummer. So, we wandered around aimlessly until we found an Indian restaurant, where I got some tiki marsala. Car horns and fireworks were going off like crazy by the time we finished dinner. I assumed it was because it was getting close to midnight, and Victory in Europe Day was tomorrow, which is a national holiday celebrating Germany's surrender of World War II. And this may have been the case for the fireworks. However, I'm thinking the car horns had to do with something else, which we would learn about once we entered the subway. It took 3 or 4 subway trains to pass before we could get on, and by getting on, I mean forcing our way through an already full train and being more crammed than a can of sardines. The occasion was a soccer match that Paris won. Being from near Boston, I'm very familiar with sports victories, but the French take their passion for soccer to a whole new level. And the match in question was just a semifinals game. Every subway stop was an adventure.
I can't even get my phone.
Faut que j'en reprenne un.
Paris.
Paris. Trop moche, tout aligné. C'est la vérité. Ça va? Ça va? Ouais. Good. Moche. Waouh, non, ils sont 15 secondes. Oh lolo. On se démarre.
Oh my god, they're singing in the front too.
Ah, il a pas compris, t'as de la chance. Hein.
Today was pretty dope from beginning to end.